Can you believe someone actually owns an animal that went extinct ages ago? It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but trust me, it's real.
If you're trying to increase your evolutionary advantage, the best thing you can do is get more offspring into the future generation. And one of the best ways you can do that is to take better care of the offspring that you produce.
What you're about to see next will leave you shocked as I reveal actual footage of an animal thought to be lost to history. Sit back and relax as I tell you everything about this mysterious extinct animal and more. Number 1, Tasmanian tiger. The beast you're seeing on your screen right now is none other than the Tasmanian tiger. Believe it or not, despite being declared extinct back in 1986, there have been numerous reported sightings of the Tasmanian tiger over the years.
Tasmanian tiger, easily distinguished by his straight, unjointed tail, is also a dangerous opponent, though, like the devil, is now very rare.
And finally, after digging around for quite a bit, I've found actual footage of this prehistoric beast being kept captive as a pet. The most interesting bit is how this might just be the last ever on the planet, unless the sightings are true, of course. Also known as the thylacine, it is believed that the last known Tasmanian in the wild was killed in 1930, while the last captive one died in 1936 at Hobart Zoo in Tasmania. But it looks like we've been wrong all along. This footage, which by the way is making rounds on the internet, has revealed an actual living thylacine being kept as a pet. But what was this animal? And why is it even called a tiger if it looks nothing like it? Well, that's because it's not a tiger at all. It's actually a carnivorous marsupial. And for those of you who don't know what that means, it's more closely related to kangaroos and koalas. You heard that right. It's like a striped dog with an actual pouch. Both male and female Tasmanian tigers had actual pouches with a sandy yellow-brown coat and 15 to 20 dark stripes across their back. Oh, and did you know they could open up their jaws to 80 degrees? Imagine keeping it as a pet now. That's just horrifying. If this thing ever decided it wanted to hurt you, trust me when I tell you this, it would have zero trouble. But despite that monstrous jaw and their fearsome appearance, Tasmanian tigers were quite shy and avoided human contact whenever possible. Check this out though. There's a lot of debate about whether this footage is recent or not, but did you know it's possible we might just see a reincarnated Tasmanian tiger? But how in the world is it even possible? Cloning and genetic engineering. Because the Tasmanian tiger went extinct less than a decade ago, scientists actually have fully preserved DNA from thylacine specimens. It's a concept that's known as de-extinction, and while it still remains a fantasy, scientists are starting to close in on how to perform the impossible. Of course, you have all the ethical and moral debates going on as well, but as of right now, it's just a concept. But I sure as heck wouldn't mind seeing a Tasmanian tiger again. I mean, just look at it. It's an absolutely magnificent creature. And as for the man keeping it as a pet, he's rumored to be on the move since keeping an extinct animal doesn't exactly come without unwanted attention.
Being forced out of its natural habitat by the march of civilization. This is the only one in captivity in the world.
Number 2, spotted in the wild. So, remember how I was talking about Tasmanian tigers still being spotted in the wild? Well, check this out. This clip was recorded back in 2012 in Tasmania, and unless my eyes are fooling, that's an actual thylacine. And let me remind you, it isn't confirmed whether the TT is extinct, it's still just an assumption. And that's mainly because people have stopped looking for it. Considering just how big Tasmania is, I'm sure this carnivorous marsupial is still somewhere out there. Number 3, strange pet. That ain't no Tasmanian tiger, that's actually a hyena. And in this episode of Strangest Pets Ever, I think this is the most absurd ever. But I know what you're thinking right now. It's okay to keep a literal thylacine, but a hyena is bad. Well, let's keep in mind that the TT was in a cage, and this hyena is literally just strolling around in the house. And right now, it's obviously not big enough to put up a fight, but if this thing was slightly bigger, this clip would have been very different. But yeah, still pretty cute though. Just give this hyena their happy meal and send them out. Number 4, the hyena man. Oh, and speaking of hyenas, have you ever heard about the hyena man? This footage defies all odds. I've seen hyenas up close, trust me. They're animals you don't want to mess with. And don't even get me started about that horrific laugh. But yeah, hyenas aren't pets. And I'm actually surprised how this guy is so cool around, or how the hyenas are so cool around him. It's probably because he feeds them on the regular, but feeding them with his mouth? Now, that sounds like an extreme sport to me. On a side note, here's some context. This clip is from Egypt, where people believe that hyenas are actually spiritual animals that help ward off evil spirits. And regardless of being ruthless scavengers, they're quite sociable and playful. Number 5, 120-pound rodent. Meet Chico, folks, the 120-pound rodent. He's a part of the family. He's casually chilling with the kids, watching their favorite show on TV.
So 7, but he didn't know for sure, and he never ended up quoting.
You and Chico watching TV?
And did you know Chico is a world-famous rodent? He's a spoiled brat, to say the least, as his owners spoil him with royal treatment. Honestly speaking, I find it kind of strange how people can keep capybaras as pets. For starters, they're not docile at all, and can even bite or scratch if provoked. And don't even get me started about all the diseases they carry. Ringworms, salmonella, fleas, and a whole lot more can easily be moved from capybaras to human. But yeah, not trying to scare anyone, because they're still some of the chillest animals ever. Anyway, enough of the strange pets. Let's talk about some animals that went extinct at the same time as the Tasmanian tiger. Number 6, Barbary lion. Meet the apex predator of its time, the Barbary lion. Think of modern-day lions and imagine what they'd look like on steroids. Barbary lions, once native to North Africa, were majestic beasts that weighed nearly 600 pounds and terrorized lush green fields. And the lion in front of you right now isn't even a proper Barbary. No, sir. That's just a descendant. So imagine what an actual one would like. Absolutely glorious. And trust me, if these beasts didn't go extinct, normal adult lions wouldn't have stood a chance. Now, although Barbary lions went extinct in the early 20th century, experts are actively searching for potential descendants to breed them out of extinction. Number 7, Caspian tiger. This clip gets me every time. It's absolutely devastating to see how this beast, the Caspian tiger, was once the most dangerous animal near the Caspian Sea. In fact, did you know that Caspian tigers were actually the biggest of their species? Even bigger than Siberian. Adult males would weigh up to 550 pounds and powerful hunters, capable of taking down even the largest of prey. But what led to this magnificent animal going extinct? The majority of the blame goes to excessive hunting, while habitat loss also led to the Caspian tiger going extinct in the early 1970s. Oh, and I don't think a lot of people know that, but the Amur tiger is closely related to this species. Number 8, Amur tiger. This animal isn't extinct, but I really wanted to show you just so you could get an idea of how big Caspian tigers were. Just look at the size of this hunk. And there's even a comparison photo between an Amur tiger, a bear, and a human. It's incredible how the Amur towers even an adult bear. And just check out those guns. Now imagine how beefy and deadly a Caspian tiger would look. Unfortunately, the Amur tiger is an endangered animal, but efforts are underway to somehow revive their population. Oh, and by the way, this thing is also much bigger than a Siberian. Number 9, Western black rhino. No, this isn't a prehistoric beast you're looking at. Believe it or not, the Western black rhino only went extinct about 9 years ago, back in 2015. And like every other tragic extinction, the black rhino was also hunted for its horn. It's unfortunate because just one look at this animal, and it's like you're taking millions of years back. These bad boys were super aggressive and could grow up to 2 meters long, weighing well over a ton. The last known western rhino was spotted back in 2009, and by early 2015, they were listed as extinct. And I don't know how you feel about this, but I just find it really tragic how people would hunt such a majestic beast to extinction. Now we're going to switch things up again and talk about the ultimate beasts of all time. Trust me, the extinct animals you're about to hear of next are hundreds of times more deadly and dangerous than what we've discussed so far. Spoiler alert, we're about to go back millions of years.
It's a rarity, it's black rhino. Did you see it? It's awesome. Don't get it often, eh?
Number 10, the T-Rex. Meet the ultimate predator, the greatest hunter in the history of the world, the T-Rex. An absolute killing machine dominating early Earth for millions of years. This bad boy grew up to 40 feet tall and weighed nearly 10 tons. But despite the big, bulky build, Rexy was super agile and had really good spinning inertia, allowing it to turn its huge body in no time. And check this out now. It had the strongest jaw out of all animals to have ever walked the Earth. And I don't care if the competition had armored skin or was some sort of a super croc, the T-Rex was crushing bones in every single bite. Check this next bit out. Life back then was nothing like you'd see in a Jurassic Park movie. The earth wouldn't shake every time a T-Rex walked by. In fact, you wouldn't hear this beast because of its padded feet. You could feel it nearby, but the only time you'd hear or see it was when it wanted you to. Now, that's what I call an apex.
There's very little in the environment of T-Rex that would escape its attention.
Number 11, Spinosaurus. The Spinosaurus might not be as powerful as the T-Rex, but trust me, it was one of the biggest carnivorous animals to have ever walked the earth. It was about 5 feet taller than the T-Rex and weighed approximately 20 tons at its peak. That's 20 tons of pure muscle waiting to hunt and kill anything in its path. And the scariest bit about this creature is how it was semi-aquatic, spending most of its time in water. The Spinosaurus is one of the most famous dinosaurs in history, thanks to its cameos in Jurassic Park film. It stands out because of its crocodile-like stout and bony, sharp sail on its back. An interesting fact while we're at it, experts believe the sail on its back was for display only to intimidate other animals. On the other hand, some believe it was to store fat reserves or even thermoregulation.
An 8-meter-long giant sawfish, similar to those alive today. The saw-like rostrum is lined with lethal barbs and is in itself up to 2.5 meters in length.
Number 12, Velociraptor. Not the biggest, baddest, or most powerful predator, but definitely one of the most creative and smartest. The Velociraptor wasn't a big dinosaur by any means. In fact, it was only about 6.5 feet tall. But the stories of its dominance back in the age are just outrageous. And the craziest part is how it weighed only 33 pounds. It was a light, agile creature that hunted for fun. And there were even packs that went after animals much bigger. It had a deadly weapon unlike any creature, and that weapon was its sickle-shaped claw on its hind foot. It would slash open prey with this claw, often leaving them to bleed out to death.
Something that makes paleontologists theorize that the Velociraptor was one of the more intelligent dinosaurs.
Number 13, Allosaurus. Get ready to meet another Jurassic Park heavyweight, folks. Standing tall at an astonishing height of 39 feet, the Allosaurus was one of the top predators of its time. And even though it was as tall as the T-Rex, guess how much it weighed? Only 2 tons. It was extremely agile, making it a stealthy ambusher, using its light weight to its advantage. Believe it or not, it had tiny openings in its skull, making it even lighter and more agile. And now the interesting bit about its hunting attack. Did you know the Allosaurus had a hatch-style attack? It used its upper jaw to strike prey exactly like a hawk. I bet now you're starting to understand why dinosaurs are so closely related to birds and chickens.
Allosaurus is the most common killer in these lands. 9 meters long with a battery of saw blade-like teeth and powerful clawed forearms.
Number 14, Giganotosaurus. When you're from the line of T-Rex, it's quite obvious you're going to be a serious predator. The Giganotosaurus is a relative of the Rex, with some key differences. Not only is it much bigger than the T-Rex, but it's also heavier. So that leads me to the next question. Who would win a fight between these extinct animals? Well, despite having the size advantage, the Giga wasn't as strong as the Rex, and that's mainly because of its jaw and teeth. And it's not like they weren't as sharp or something. No, sir. They just weren't designed to crush bones. It had serrated teeth, meaning it cut through flesh with ease. But since the T-Rex had teeth the size of humans, it could crush bones with every single bite. Not to mention how they weren't around during the same time either, as the Giga existed nearly 100 million years ago, about 10 million years before the Rex.
So Longtooth belongs to this new species of Giganotosaurus. She is, to be precise, a Mapusaurus.
Number 15, Carcharodontosaurus. I think it's best if we labeled this creature as the T-Rex eater. And no, it didn't T-Rex. It's just easier to pronounce. But the reason I call it that is because it was just superior in every single way. It was like a shark on land, thanks to its ferocious teeth and jaw. This dinosaur belonged to theropods and was the largest of its kind, having existed about 100 million years back in North Africa. And this thing wasn't a scavenger or ambusher. It preferred to take prey head on. And I'm talking about some of the biggest creatures of that era. Oh, and here's an interesting bit of information about the Carcharodontosaurus. Did you know the first ever fossils of this beast were destroyed in World War II? Yep. It was only in the late 90s that archaeologists found them again. To think how we almost lost the memory of this gigantic beast to war. A little more about this dino. It had a brain case much larger than a T-Rex, suggesting that it was not only more intelligent, but also had better developed senses.
With so much to gain, fights over prime hunting territory would be commonplace. For this victorious Carcharodontosaurus, the prize is the hunting rights to these ouranosaurs.
Number 16, Utah Raptor. The Utah Raptor wasn't as famous as its cousin, the Velociraptor, but it was way more deadly. For starters, it was as smart and even had the same sharp claw on its back legs. Their style of attack was also quite similar, as they hunted in packs and often took down animals much bigger than their own size. But what was so different about them then? Well, remember how the Velociraptor was only 6.5 feet? This bad boy measured in at over 20 feet tall and weighed well over a ton. That's one buffed up raptor. And even though this guy never got any screen time, trust me when I tell you this, it's one of the most fearsome predators of its time. Number 17, Majungasaurus. Did you know there was quite a lot of cannibalism going on about 1 million years back? It was evident among all dinosaurs, but if we're talking about the Majungasaurus, this thing was famous for eating its own kind. Early fossils prove exactly that. After archaeologists found several bite marks on the Majungasaurus resembling their own bite, this thing wasn't as big, but it still dominated the landscape with a mind-boggling height of 20 feet. Also, did you know the Majungasaurus had a reinforced skull? Yep. I have no clue how this dinosaur evolved, but its skull was extra thick to withstand the stresses of powerful biting. And what that basically means is this bad boy was ripping apart prey, but also getting attacked at the same time because of its medium build. Regardless of all that, it's still one of the most iconic dinosaurs to ever roam the planet.
A carcass will attract every big predator for miles around.
Number 18, Mapusaurus. Get ready to meet another cousin. The Mapusaurus was closely related to the Giganotosaurus and was one of the largest carnivorous dinosaurs ever, having existed nearly 100 million years back. It rivaled major apex predators in size, standing tall at 40 feet and weighing as much as 5 tons. And even though the name Mapusaurus literally translates to earth lizard, it was still from the same family as the Rex. Oh, and you know how wolves dominate certain regions because they hunt in packs. Well, try to imagine 3 or 4 of these dinosaurs hunting together. Sounds terrifying, right? Archaeologists have found multiple fossils of these beasts together, suggesting that the Mapusaurus may have hunted in pairs.
On its own, even it is not a match for a fully grown Argentinosaurus.
Number 19, Cryolophosaurus, the king of Antarctica, folks. Or should I say the Elvis Presley of dinosaurs. This magnificent 20-footer was one of the first ever dinosaurs discovered in Antarctica, earning it the name frozen crest lizard. But why crest lizard? Well, this species had a crest on top of its head, and we don't really know why. Some experts suggest it was for species identification, while others believe there was something more at play here, since this animal survived in such harsh conditions. And even though it wasn't as big as all the other apex predators, the fact that it thrived in a region where most dinos didn't even dare to go made it one of the biggest and most fearsome there.
Another male appears. He's larger, with a bigger crest, and he takes advantage of the situation.
Number 20, Baryonyx walkeri. About 130 million years back, the Baryonyx walkeri ruled the Cretaceous landscape, terrorizing entire rivers, lakes, and other small water bodies. In fact, this dinosaur had one of the first ever fish-eating adaptations in theropods. If I had to sum it up, I'd say this thing is just a walking crocodile. I mean, look at the crocodile-like snout and large claw. That's the stuff of nightmares. At its peak, the Baryonyx walkeri grew 31 feet long and weighed almost a ton. It's like evolution had a plan for this beast, as its claws and teeth were specifically designed for catching and slaughtering slippery prey.
The Baryonyx was a dinosaur that was under the radar for a long time, before making a grand entrance in Ice Age 3, followed by another unforgettable appearance in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Number 21, Troodon formosus. I swear it's incredible how there are so many dinosaurs we don't know of, and the more we learn about them, the more fascinating they become. Like the Troodon formosus, for example. Believe it or not, if we're talking about extinct animals, this tiny beast had one of the highest brain-to-body ratios ever. This basically means that even though it was one of the smallest theropods ever, it was still one of the smartest, making it a ruthless hunter. The Troodon formosus, or should I say wounded tooth dino, used to hunt mostly small prey. And some experts even suggest that it might be an omnivore, having a mixed diet of animals and plants. But yeah, don't be mistaken, it wasn't a large dino by any means, with a height of just 8 feet. It was pretty agile though, considering it only weighed around 110 pounds.
A species of feathered dinosaur, just as revolutionary as Dinocyrus.
Number 22, Shastasaurus. Speaking of big animal, check out this mega dolphin. It's about 70 feet long, registering itself as one of the largest animals to have ever existed on the planet. And the reason I called it a mega dolphin is because if you look closely, its body kind of resembles dolphins and modern-day whales. I'm guessing that's where evolution played its part. But did you know this massive marine creature weighed nearly 70,000 kilograms? That's 70 tons, folks. Absolutely massive. Its fossils are found in North America and China as well, indicating a wide distribution of these gentle giants all over the world. But despite its dominance in the oceans, this thing wasn't exactly a killer. It was actually like our modern whale, feeding only on squid and other schools of fish. Oh, and that weirdly disproportionate toothless snout is a trademark characteristic of this marine giant. Number 23, Argentinosaurus. The animal you're about to see next is one of the largest to ever exist on the Earth. And when I mean one of the largest, I'm talking top 3. The Argentinosaurus measured more than 100 feet in length. 100 feet. It roamed the forests of South Africa about 100 million years back and mostly snacked on plants, berries, and nuts. But what in the world led to this animal becoming so large? One word: evolution. Because the Argentinosaurus needed to sustain its massive body, it had to be able to reach vegetation on tall trees. Isn't that cool?
The skeleton found at the nest site was almost certainly a nest raider, preying on the hatchlings.
Number 24, Patagotitan. If you thought the Argentinosaurus was big, wait till you hear about this guy. The Patagotitan might not have been a big bad carnivore, but trust me, size mattered. And this thing was the king of the jungle. It was about 25 feet taller than the Argentinosaurus and weighed around 70 tons. It was the same animal, to be honest, just better and bigger. And did you know the Patagotitan was virtually invincible? They had armor-like skin, and there was no way to reach up to their necks either. The most harm you could do is a scratch or bite here and there, but stick around for too long and you'd get stomped on. And did you know this giant was only discovered around a decade back in 2014? I wonder if we'll discover something else even bigger. Number 25, Megalodon. Not the biggest, but definitely the baddest, folks. The undisputed king of the ocean. The one and only Hollywood-famous Megalodon. Believe it or not, legend of the Megalodon exists till date, with people still believing that it's out there, somewhere lurking in our ocean. And as much as I'd like to see one in real life, I sure hope that isn't true, because the Meg had extremely sharp teeth, over 7 inches long, with jaws strong enough to swallow an entire car. I'm not making this up. It was so powerful that it could not only crush a car, but also swallow it whole. But how big was this thing? I think it's underwhelming when we say the Meg was 60 feet long. A better metric would be a school bus. I'm sure we've all seen them. But the Meg wasn't just as big as one school bus. Nope, 2 school buses in length. That's outrageous. But yeah, if we're talking about apex predators, there's no denying the Meg is the undisputed killer in the ocean.
Here is an offspring of Tarbosaurus, one of the most vicious carnivores of the dinosaur age. But Patch is still a youngster.
Number 26, Tarbosaurus, the tyrant of the late Cretaceous period, the one and only Tarbosaurus. And if someone zapped you back with the knowledge you currently had, you'd easily mistake this thing for a T-Rex. Although it was closely related to it, this monster wasn't just taller, but it was more stronger and powerful. It dominated the Asian landscape and had a lifestyle similar to its North American cousin. But despite being closely related, it wasn't as intelligent as the T-Rex, not earning the title of the baddest dinosaur alive. Interestingly enough, the Tarbosaurus was alive at the same time as the T-Rex. Imagine the battles if they both lived on the same continent. That's it from our side, folks. So, what do you think? Did you have any idea there'd be a Tasmanian tiger still alive? And did I miss out on any ferocious extinct animal lost to history? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more interesting videos in the future. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.